A lot of people ask me, how do you sync up audio when you're making videos? I mean, how do you do it when you're recording the audio in one place and the video in another? It's simple. Ever heard of a clapper? See, now you have a visual representation of loudness in your video, and you've also got it in your audio file. You can both see and hear it. Now, all you need to do is to line those up, and you should be good. Hello and welcome to haQ. My name is Jakob. I'm your host and you're watching a haQ episode. In this episode, we're gonna have a look at EG Pulse, and there's a reason to why I want to push this app. Number one, EG Pulse is an audio unit extension, and it has 16 slots, 16 pads, 16 sample slots, meaning 16 channels. And those channels can all be outputted through audio unit multi-output busing. You can see where I'm going with this. You see, now in the year 2020, I want to focus on what I think can be the future of iOS, and that is definitely audio unit extension multi-output. So, currently, there is only one app, it's AUM, that supports this system, but we're probably going to see more in the future. So yeah, this is important, and EG Pulse, drum sampling, 16 channels with the ability to output them individually, exactly what we needed. The second reason I want to push this one is because I want to give his real name is Andrea. I want to give Andrea some cred because the app was not polished. And I contacted Andrea about this and I told him what the issues I had with it. Andrea has now corrected those. I'm very happy to see that, and I want to see him keep on developing this one because as far as I know, this is the only multi-output drum sampler audio unit thing on the App Store. If there are any others, then please let me know and everyone else reading in the comment section down below. But to my knowledge, this is the only one so far. So in this video, I'll give you a quick overview of the different pages and some of the features in here. And then I will go into actually how to sample with this thing, both from apps internally inside the iPad and also through hardware. One note though, there is a chance that when my video comes out, Andrea has done some changes to the interface. I don't know if he's gonna do that, but I did give him some advice on how to change some of the stuff here. So from this date, when the video is live and afterwards, the app might look a little bit different, but it will function the same.
I like my headphone port right where it is. I want my surface clear from unwanted pop-ups. But little Timmy boy loves my money, so he's breaking it up in a million pieces. Tim just wants me to sing that song. Ding ding gong, let's get another dongle.
So let's start with a quick overview. So right now we're in the main view of EG Pulse, and we can find transport controls like record, stop, play up here to the left, and then we have selectors for the different pages, and there are 4 of them. So right now we're in the pads view, then we have the grid view where you can see the notes you've put in for all of the sample slots or pads. After that, we have the mixer and automation view, and here is also where you can find the FX page. So if you look right down here, we can see that we have another 3 page selectors. Right now we're on the mixer page, then we have the automation page, and after that we have the FX page. Now, the not so nice thing is that these effects aren't really that tweakable. They are pretty much set to a certain type of sound. However, the nice thing about this is that these 4 effects are basically addressed per pad. So to clarify, each pad have 4 tweakable effects. And the same goes for the automation. Not that it has 4 effects, but 4 features per pad that you can automate. And I want to highlight that there is actually an on-off button for the volume, pan and pitch automation lanes, and there is also one on-off button for the probability automation lane. Oh, and one more thing, the automation read on-off button, you can find that one on the pads view right down here. Now, the last page is the song view, and in order to use the song mode, you have to make sure that it's on. And if you want the song to loop, you know, every time it reaches the end of your pattern chain, you have to activate the loop. Very straightforward stuff. Now, EG Pulse provides you with up to 16 patterns that you can make, basically. And when you're in the song view, it's very easy to add patterns to a chain. You do it by selecting one of the patterns from the pattern selector down here, and then you press add. And to remove patterns, you have to tap and hold remove, select the patterns you want to remove, and then let go of the remove button. Can you see the dress I'm wearing? It's a disguise. This way I can blend into the background. Alright, so we're back on the pads page, and I want to highlight the fact that you can switch between a pads view and a chromatic keyboard view with these buttons right here. Now, I do feel that most of the controls up here are pretty straightforward. The only thing I want to add that if you long press on the BPM area, you'll get prompted with a window where you can actually type in your BPM. Okay, so last thing I want to highlight is the cogwheel menu here. This is the settings menu, and when you open it up, you can find settings for Ableton Link. You can also change the look of the pads, and there are more options in here. Now, one thing that I want to start out with is that if you go into the kits and you load the kits, you're gonna notice that when they're loaded, the samples are laid out in a non-conventional MPC-like way. So you're gonna have like kick and stuff like that starting at the top of the grid. And most of us doing MPC stuff, well, we're used to having the kicks at the bottom and then going upwards with snares, hi-hats, percussions. Now, I wasn't the only one complaining about that. Other users were doing that too. And in the latest update, Andrea actually put a button inside the settings menu where you can just flip it over into MPC mode. So thank you for that. That's great. By the way, if you need more information about all the controls inside EG Pulse, then you also have the user manual in here. It's well written and very straightforward. And that concludes the overview. Now we're gonna get into the process of building your own kits. Now, I will be doing this in 3 segments, so I'll be showing you sample import first, and then I'll show you how to sample from other apps, and after that, I'll show you how to sample through hardware. Now, whether you are importing or loading samples, or if you are recording them yourself, meaning sampling from other apps or hardware, you still use the same page to access all of those features. And you find them inside the edit menu, and you can find the edit right here. So we press that and we get this window. Now there are a bunch of new stuff here, but one thing I want to go through first is actually the sample slot order. And so here's a little trick that I use myself. Make sure that you color every 4th slot in its own unique color. So the first one in purple, the 5th one in green, and so on. And once we've done that and go back to the pad view by closing down this page with this X here, we can now see the load order. You could of course make it even easier if you color each row in the same color. And if you still think it's unclear, then here are the numberings. Remember that this will be switched around if you're using the MPC switch mode. Alright, so I'll show you how to load your own samples. Now this is done through the Files app or the Files system inside iOS. And so we make sure we are in the edit menu, and if you want to load a sample for a particular slot, then you simply need to tap the folder icon over here. Now, the first thing that you will be prompted with is the internal samples that are already inside EG Pulse, because it does, of course, come with a lot of samples that you can use. And if you are good with that and you just want to use those sounds, then all you need to do is to choose one of them. But if you want to import your own stuff that you've made yourself, then you need to tap the cloud icon right here. Through here, you can reach all your samples that you have on your cloud and all of the app folders. I usually put my samples inside Audio Share. So I'll go into Audio Share and then into one of my folders, and then I'll just load something. And when I press it, it will load straight into that slot. Now, some EG Pulse users are going to be like, Jacob, why aren't you showing them how you can drag multiple files over from the Files app right into EG Pulse? And you know what? They're right. What, you think I would waste time showing you how to do a redundant thing just to drag out the video a little bit? Because maybe my viewing time has been taken a hit because of something that YouTube did. And if you want to empty out a slot, you just simply tap the paper basket icon over here. Right, so let's get into sampling, and we're gonna start with sampling from other apps first. Okay, so EG Pulse is an audio unit extension instrument with two different instrument modes. So it has one regular one with a stereo output, and then it has the secondary one where you can use it as an audio unit multi-output thing. Now, there is a third version of EG Pulse. It's called EG Pulse FX, and you can only load it into FX slots. And this is the one you want to use when you want to sample from other apps. But I really need to throw on the brakes here, because there's something a little bit weird going on with it. Now, it turns out that even if you are using a stereo channel with a stereo instrument in it, meaning you have a stereo audio output coming out from it, when you load EG Pulse into the FX slot, everything turns into mono. Now, this does not mean that it also samples in mono, because it actually does sample in stereo, only you won't be hearing it. You'll be hearing a mono signal. And if that annoys you, then just do what I did. I set up a 2-channel system. Instrument here, sending the audio over here. I got EG Pulse here, muting this channel. Now I can listen to it in stereo and sample at the same time. Very straightforward. Only have to do it once and then save it as a template. Right, so when you have your sampling session set up, then just go into the edit menu, and then you choose one of the slots where you want to record your sample into. When you've chosen a slot, just press the pen right next to it, and this window opens up. Now, to record something, simply press record, and then let it record for as long as you want it to record. And when you want to stop it, press record again, and there you go. There you have your sample. Now, if you want to raise the sample, you just press there. You want to normalize the sample, press there, and you can also, of course, trim your sample. As you saw there, you could set the sample length, and you can also set the slopes for the attack and for the release. Now, right underneath this window, you have playback options like retrigger, one-shot, hold, and latching. And you have a time mode where you can lock playback to a tempo. You can also set the pitch, and you can even slice up the sample. You have a detection mode for that, so you can basically move around these markers yourself if you want, or you could just use the threshold control right down here. Lastly, there is something called divide here. It will split it up into parts, and so you can choose how many parts you want to split it up to. But if you, for instance, split it up in 16 parts, then it will evenly distribute all of these parts onto all of the pads. To have it actually split up the samples and laid out on several pads, you have to press assign. Otherwise, it's not doing it. You have to press assign, and you have to make sure that you have free sample slots. If you try to do this and you already have samples in there, or if there are no free slots, then you will get an error message and the program will ask you to please delete some samples in some slots before it can actually assign new samples to them. Now, as far as sampling goes with EG Pulse, you've pretty much gotten the gist of it. Whether you are sampling internally from other apps or if you're sampling from external hardware, the process of actually recording the samples and editing them and assigning them to pads and stuff like that, it's all done in the same way. However, I want to highlight something. When sampling from external hardware or the internal microphone, for instance, you do not need to do this setup with AUM or any other audio unit extension host, because EG Pulse can run in a standalone mode. And when it is running in a standalone mode, it fully supports the internal microphone and any types of externally connected USB audio interfaces, including USB microphones. Plus, if you have a headphone port on your iDevice, then you can use headsets and lavalier microphones. Now, when it comes to sampling external hardware gear into your iDevice, there are way too many ways of doing it. Simply, I can't show them all. And if you're a beginner and wants to know and understand the concept of actually connecting something external to your iDevice, well, that's one of my specialties. I do urge you to go watch at least the first 3 or 4 videos in this playlist in the upper right corner, popping out in the card, and you can find the link to it in the description too. Go watch that if you're a beginner and you'll feel much more comfortable with going ahead doing this stuff. In most cases, all you need to know, if you're gonna use an external USB audio interface, you just need it to be USB class compliant, meaning it doesn't need any extra drivers in order to work with iOS, because iOS won't let you install any drivers like on PC or Linux or Mac or something like that. The iK Multimedia iRig Stream, I'm going to be using that as an audio interface. Now, this one does actually come with a lightning cable and it also comes with a USB-C cable, but I'm going to be using the regular USB-A cable because a lot of people will see that one the first time. Now, in this case, I'm going to be using the old CCK. It's called a camera connection kit or a lightning to USB connector. I don't recommend this one. I recommend using the lightning to USB 3 connector because that one will allow you to charge your iPad or your iPhone while you have USB stuff connected to all of this. So all we need to do is connect this into here and connect this into here and watch the light pop, and there it goes. Some of these external USB devices won't actually start up until you start up an app with audio in and outputs. Now all we need to do is to use a TRS cable to an RCA cable because this is a pocket operator, so this one goes into here and this one goes into here. And now with all of that connected, all we need to do is to open up EG Pulse, go into the edit menu and open up one of the slots like this. Now there is one thing you need to think about when sampling from a pocket operator though, that is that whenever you're plugging something in or out in the jack, the volume gets reset. So I'm gonna make sure that the volume is loud enough for sampling. Now all we need to do is to press record here and then play back the sounds. But there is one thing I want to tell you. You do have a sample length for these windows, and that is 20 seconds. And that's the maximum limit. So press record again. And there we go. Now I want to trim this down somewhat because there's a lot of stuff we don't need here. And press trim. And now I'm going to slice this up to have it being, outputted on all the pads. And I'm going to use the detection mode. And the last thing I'm going to do is press assign. And there we go. We now have a new drum kit. Now, if you happen to be an owner of something like an OPC or model samples, then those are class compliant too. And not only do they send over MIDI over the USB cable, they also send audio. So that's a pretty neat thing. All you need is to connect this directly to your iPhone or your iPad, and you can sample these right into EG Pulse. Right, so we have reached the last segment in this video, and that is we're gonna have a look at the audio unit extension multi-output. AUM is still the only audio unit host that supports this multi-output system. Hopefully, more developers will catch up with this and implement it in their DAWs. Steinberg, please, just do it, just make it happen. The place where you need to go when you want to route your instruments or your sample slots to various buses is into the mixer. And right down there at the bottom, you can see numbers. And these are actually the multi-output audio unit extension buses. So whenever you want to use this system, you have to make sure that when you are loading EG Pulse into an input slot inside AUM, all we need to do is to find EG Pulse multi-output. And then when we want to load the next bus of EG Pulse, we just simply go down to here where it says multibus audio unit instances and press. And then you keep on doing that. The way that you change the actual bus being ported here is by tapping on this area and you get a list. And as you can see, the first bus is not called bus, it's called none. And it's actually where the initial plugin was loaded. So that is bus 1. And then you can choose from 2 up to 16. Altogether, 16 buses. Now, when you've got this set up, you just go into the plugin, you go over to the mixer, and then you set up the buses under here. So if you want the first 4 sample slots to go out on bus 2, you just go in here and choose bus 2. And that's how simple it is. Parezca, cabeza, lo que quiere tener. Now, in at least one of the video clips I'm showing you, I've got like a pad controller connected to EG Pulse, and it's very easy to set up because all you have to do is to go into the edit page, and where you have the, well, it says MIDI note here. All you need to do in order to get the right keys connected to the right pad is you press plus where it says MIDI note, and then you press a pad or a key on a keyboard. And you keep doing that. Plus, press, plus, press, plus, press, and you're all set. And by the way, EG Pulse is also compatible with any USB MIDI class compliant USB MIDI interface or keyboard or anything, pad controller like that. There's nothing to really choose. You don't have to choose which interface you're using. You just connect it and it's right there. I want to thank you for watching, and I do hope that you check out EG Pulse. I mean, audio unit extension with audio unit multi-output, 16 channels. Now, if you found this video helpful, if you learned something, if you were entertained by this video and you want to support the work I do on this channel, then you could just support me further through hitting the like button and also dropping a comment down below what you think about EG Pulse. If you want to support me in a financial way, then I have Patreon and I have PayPal. And if you want to, my mustache is annoying. If you, come on, you know when one of them just screws over and it just keeps, as usual, I wish you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it. Ha!
I like my headphone port right where it is. I want my surface clear from unwanted pop-ups. But little Timmy boy loves my money, so he's breaking it up in a million pieces. Tim just wants me to sing that song. Ding ding gong, let's get another dongle.